Hello everybody, so this is video 2, the Eastside Hockey Manager beginner guide and little hints and tips. So the first video we went through the logo pack, the face pack and importing the real player names database, so all that should be ready to go. So then you want to pick new game and pick TBL rosters version 8.1, which is the latest one as of the video. Let's let the game load. Now I'm going to assume 99% of people who play Eastside Hockey Manager play the NHL. I know a few of us play Europe, and I'll cover that in a next video. This one is going to be setting up the NHL, not playing the NHL as such, just what to do to set it up, to have a nice setup for your player development and stats and statistics and things like that. So obviously we're going to have the NHL selected. It's always selected on the game, you can't deselect it. It's the main league in hockey, so it always has to be operational. Then we've got the AHL and the ECHL. This is for your affiliates and your prospects and your fringe players to drop up and down so they can get the ice time they need, and etc. And you're probably going to want the Canadian leagues for your juniors and player progression as well. Now, another thing I like to do, hockey isn't just confined to North America obviously, and a lot of the players in the NHL come from different places. So the Swiss League, the Swedish League and the Continental Hockey League in Russia, I like to have them selected. These are the 3 top teams talent wise and financial wise with the biggest budgets. So the players who don't quite make it in the NHL, the AHL, the ECHL, or the players that don't make it from the juniors to the minor leagues often find themselves in Europe at these kind of nations. And as well as some of the bigger teams in each of these leagues have a lot of money, so they can pry away some of your NHL stars now and again. And obviously your AHL players who know they're not going to make the NHL like to go abroad and experience new things. Plus, at the moment, the top draft pick for the NHL is currently playing in the Swiss National League, so if you want to check him out, select the Swiss League and you'll see a lot more about him. So we've got these leagues. You can leave them all on enhanced if you wish. It won't have that much effect. However, if you're only going to play the NHL, nothing else, it's probably best for the European leagues to put them on view only. So they're still in the game. They'll still simulate a little bit better than they would these grayed out ones. It just means it won't take up that extra bit of processing power if you don't have a top of the range PC, for example, that can deal with all these leagues running at the same time. After you've picked your leagues, click next and it brings us to the options page. So you're going to want to select the United States. Database full is probably the best one to select. As you can see, minimum, if you go to the bottom left corner, information, minimum loads 20,000 players and 6,000 staff, whereas full loads 43,000 players and 11,000 staff. So not too demanding, nothing like Football Manager with 200,000 players running at the same time, for instance. Enable Fog of War. This means that not all the attributes are available for lesser known players and you have to do a lot of scouting. However, I like to play with this off. Scouting is still useful with this off because the scouts give you information you otherwise wouldn't know about the players, but it just makes your life a lot easier with this turned off. Add key staff. We don't need to do this if we're playing the main leagues. The NHL, for instance, and the top leagues are well researched, so they're not missing any chairman, managers, scouts, etc., which this adds. Add players to playable teams. Again, the top leagues are well researched, all the players are in the right place, so this, you don't really need to load this. Add extra junior players. Now, at the moment, the game is loading. If you come down to information again, you've got extra 8,000 players and 3,000 staff. These are regen players. The game will load instantly on creation. If you add extra junior players, it jumps to 20,000 extra junior players. And if you add players to national team pools, this adds an extra 1,000 players as well. These are fictional players. They probably won't interrupt too much with the real world, the real players I should say. They probably will just generate and retire because nobody signs them, but it's just nice to have that extra lot of players to pick from, especially when you go hunting for prospects, etc. Teams, retain all teams. this loads up every team from the database, even extinct ones, so this should stop when you have a player and his history says 2006 unknown team. If the team's in the database, this should stop that and it should name the team instead, so it just looks a bit nicer on the history page. Retain players and staff, you can pick up to 10 nations to retain all the players and staff. Again, that's totally up to you. And then once that's set, we're going to click OK. I'll let the loading screens be part of the video again, just to show you it doesn't take that long, and if you have a better PC than I do, it will be even quicker. As you can see on the information at the bottom, we've got 10 active domestic competitions, 10 leagues from 5 countries, with 21 international competitions and 2 continental competitions. The continental competitions are new from the 1.1 update, which is the Champions Hockey League, known as the European Hockey Championship in game, and the Continental Cup. The top level, the Champions Hockey League, is like the UEFA Champions League in soccer or football for ice hockey, and the Continental Cup is a really low level cup, the second tier if you will, which features teams from Israel, Turkey, Bulgaria and Serbia, which obviously aren't part of the game at the moment. It's just more for cosmetics, and because it's a real competition, it's nice to see it in the game as well. Another tip is I'd always try and read these hints and tips on the loading screen. You'll learn things you didn't know about the game, even after playing it for hundreds and hundreds of hours, like myself. Creating shortlists, so this is the last one, we're nearly there. And this is your Add General Manager screen, so you've got your name, your nationality, your second nationality, your date of birth and your experience. So nationality determines which languages you speak in game. It doesn't have too much of an effect, but for instance, if you're going to manage the Montreal Canadiens who speak French primarily, and you're from the USA, you don't speak French, you might want to add France or Canada as a second nationality, and you'll speak French in game. So you just bond a little bit better with your players, and some players will feel more comfortable signing with you, especially if they don't have the best adaptability rating in the game. Your past experience, automatic, determines your experience on the league that you've selected. So automatic in the NHL means you'll be a middle of the road reputation wise NHL GM. If you picked, say, the AHL, it would be an automatic, so middle of the road AHL manager reputation wise. If you pick Hall of Famer in the lower leagues like the AHL, you'll probably be near the top of the reputation table. In the NHL, you'll be well known, people will love you, the fans will love that you've signed, the board will be more patient with you, and players will be more easier to sign in certain circumstances. If you pick recreational player, which is the lowest, then in the NHL the board won't like you, the fans won't like you, and the players won't necessarily not like you, but they might not stick to your tactics as much, they won't trust you as much. You might have trouble signing a few big name players. So you're probably best to leave it on automatic or Hall of Famer, depending on what you want to do. And then you come to your team selection. So if we look at, say, Buffalo, the logo, the name, fan support, passionate, this determines season ticket sales, general ticket sales and attendances obviously, which affect your income, your division, your arena, your practice facilities, your finances, your affiliates and the year founded. So then let's try Columbus. Again, so Columbus are rich, whereas Buffalo was only secure financial wise. And then if we go to a lesser supported team like, say, let's find. I mean, obviously they're all well supported. Nashville, let's have Nashville. So Nashville's fan support is only good, and then if we go to say Philadelphia, it's going to be hardcore, which is the top one that you can have. Low is the lowest, hardcore is the top. But for the video purposes, we'll just pick Arizona. It's not any choice, it's not any biased, it's just a random choice. Arizona, there we go. And let's click OK. Take control of Arizona, yes. This screen, just click finish. And now we're in the game. So I'll go through the actual options and the tabs in a different video. This is just an initial setup video, so before you do anything, you've picked your leagues, you've started the game, you want to go to the options cog and go to detail level, preset configuration, quick sim, same again, international and continental, I'd put it on quick sim. What this means, quick sim uses a cut down version of the simulation engine. It's better than having it on minimum none. QuickSim will still use the engine, just a smaller version of it, and you'll get better results from the leagues that you're not managing in, so Canada, Russia, Sweden. The league you are managing in, the NHL in the US, you're best to have it on all, as well as your minor leagues. And if you really wish, because of the sake of prospects, you could put Canada on all, or you could have later stages, which would mean the playoffs Memorial Cup would be processed with the full engine. This affects the sim speed, so having them on quick sim makes the game sim that little bit quicker. And then just click confirm. Now, the next thing I want to show you is, because we had some more leagues because of our prospects and our players who might not make it to the top, and they might go to Europe to find a job. If you click leagues, then you'll have the Canadian leagues, Russia, Sweden. So here's the NHL. Let's see, that's our league, obviously, if we go back to it. So Switzerland, one of the big top leagues in Europe. This is the Swiss league. We can view everything, we can see all the games, we can see all the points, we can see all the players, we can click on them, and it just feels like the league's actually there, it's alive, for instance, in our game world, like it would be in real life. Now, all the other leagues are still available in the game, you just have to find them a little bit. So for instance, the German league is in the game, but we didn't select it, so you'd have to go to teams, other, Europe, and find them this way. So if we went to nation, Germany, Deutsche Eishockey League, then we'd have the DEL, and we've got all the German teams, so there's Berlin, for example. Again, you can still interact with everybody, you can sign them, you can invite them to your training camp, you can scout them. You just don't see the actual league processing day to day as you would with the ones we selected, like the Swiss League. And if we go to the Zurich Lions, one of the top teams in the Swiss League, there's all their players. The little star symbol means he's one of the top players on the team. So that's our little guide how to load up an NHL save, as well as having a few extra leagues just to make it feel that more realistic regarding your players, your stats, and your prospects who might go overseas or might not make it to the top league and then go overseas. You can just keep track of the history a little bit better. And I'll see you in the next video.